Hello everybody, I'm Wayne. Welcome to the channel. Want to invite you to subscribe if you haven't done that already. And always remember, I'm going to leave an email in the description of every video that I put up. And if you want some one-on-one Skype sessions, you can reach out to me at that email. I'm doing quite a bit of that these days. And this video, I try not to date these videos. I want to believe that somebody many years from now could discover this as a resource and it can be a help in their journey to playing. But this one's gonna be dated. As you guys know, we lost Tony Rice Christmas of 2020. Even if you didn't know him, his music would make you feel like you did. And I think that's true for a lot of people. I think that if you play music under the bluegrass umbrella, more than likely Tony Rice is your hero, no matter what instrument you play. And the records, all of his records, had a big impact on me, from the Bluegrass Album Band to his solo projects. Obviously, the J.D. Crowe Band with Ricky Skaggs, that could be that 0044. That says it. I mean, how many records do people identify by the catalog number? You know, and we all know that record wouldn't have been what it was without Tony Rice. None of the music that he was a part of, no one else could have played guitar in those bands. It had to be him for it to have the impact that it did. But of all the recordings, the ones that I don't hear a lot of people talk about are some of my favorites, the instrumental records that Tony made right after moving to California to play with Grisman. 4 records, starting with acoustics. I think I've got the order right on this. Acoustics, then Mar West, then Still Inside, and Backwaters was the last of the 4. I like to call these jazz records. I don't know what else. I think Tony used the term space grass. But those recordings were absolutely amazing and made for the right reason. I mean, it's just art. There's nothing else that you could call it. A friend of mine named Clay Jones introduced me to the Mar West record, and I sure did listen to it a lot. Just earlier in 2020, third time out, went out west for a couple of weeks, and we listened to Mar West a lot, this particular song, on the way out there. And then, you probably know this is coming if you're familiar with the record, we listened to Mar East on the way home. But anyway, I want to try to break this down. 2 main things that you're going to need as far as foundational things. It's going to be a blues scale in first position. If you're not familiar with that, check out my Blues video. It talks about these particular scales in first position. We have a B, and then an E, and then an A. This melody is played basically out of that shape. And then up here, another video that I have, closed position blues. Hear how those are the same exact notes. You want to play those scales, play them in thirds. Now the closed position. So there's a quick run through of those, and if you need it, you should stop right now and check out those other videos, because if you're not comfortable with these foundational things, there's a good chance that you're going to struggle with this melody, especially if you haven't listened to it a lot. If you can't hum this melody already, you want to check it out. Listen to it over and over till you get to the point that you really wouldn't need the recording to be able to tell if you were playing the wrong note. So Sam Bush on this recording starts the melody, there are some embellishments that he plays that are a little different than the head that Tony plays on the front of it. And what I'm doing is kind of a hybrid of those 2 things put together, but you'll be able to hear the things he took and that he added, those cool Sam things that we all love. Right on the front, a slide up to this B note, and then it's an octave down. Such a cool move. Now look how we have these intervals that don't happen in that blues scale. There I'm playing an A flat note. Then to a C sharp note. So think of a B minor scale. If you were playing that mode, those are technically the notes of an A scale moved up one interval. If you can't follow that concept, you definitely could check out some chord scale videos that I have up also, because it's going to help with this whole concept of a minor mode that we're going to use in this tune. So there's the front of the melody. Now it's going to a G chord, the song is, and we'll get to the rhythm in a second. Starting on this G note, look how that starts. Okay, if you're doing what you should and you're playing through those exercises, again, like in thirds, if you've been doing those kinds of things the way that you need to, this is probably going to be a lot easier for you than if you didn't, because you can see those thirds. Here we have a big shift from an open E note. There's our opportunity to shift all the way up to this F sharp at the 9th fret of the A string. Then we launch right into this closed position blues. Let me play that again slow and watch the shift. If you listen close, and I'm trying to pick this apart a little bit, it sounds like Sam might have started that G note, that phrase that begins on the G note, up here. The sound of the tone of the mandolin sounds like that note could have been on the A string instead of the G. The first one sounds like it starts from the G. There's a slide on the front of the second one. And the healthy way to finger this, if you were going to play it in this position, would be a shift here from 10 to 9, and then the same thing here from 5 to 4. On those half steps, it's the best place to shift. Look at the use of that blues scale. It goes right down the scale. And the first position, same thing. So now we're up to that last phrase. Back to first position, starting on the high B note, down to an A. There we are, right back in this first position blues scale. Straight down the notes of that scale. Then the last two chords that we play over, this G7, stepping down to a G flat 7. This is the hardest part of the melody to execute to me. The notes. And if you listen to Tony, that's some kind of a roll that he's playing on the guitar. It sounds like an upstroke, perhaps, but it sounds like 3 different strings that get played, and it's really hard to phrase exactly the way Tony did, because I'm listening to him more to learn the head than I am to Sam, because of those embellishments that he played. At the beginning of the second break, the head had already been established, so he was taking a few liberties and already playing with somewhat an improvisational spirit, even though he was playing the head to the tune. But this is tough to phrase exactly the way Tony did. So you can check it out at a slower tempo here. On that last phrase, you can hear Sam. So hard to resist that phrase on the mandolin from that open E string. So that was an embellishment. Then on to the rhythm. This is such a free-spirited song that I'm definitely gonna put it out right now that I'm probably not playing exactly the same voicings that Sam did. It's hard to tell in the context, the way this record's mixed, to where you can hear everything all the time. And on the rhythm track, it's really hard to tell exactly the notes that he may be playing, but I think this is close. When I play this with the recording, none of it clashes with what I hear, but this is in B minor, starting here with this barred chord at the 4th fret. If you're not familiar with that, I have a video up about minor chords. The next chord is an E7. Once again, I have a video for 7 chords if you need help there. Those 2 chords in this neighborhood of the fretboard, then back to first position, and I'm playing an A like a power chord, A and E, and then A and E open to this E7 that I refer to as the White Freightliner E7 from Sam's, that Newgrass Revival arrangement that was so cool and so ahead of its time. He used that chord for that build that they did. It's funny how certain positions kind of take on one particular thing, like this E. That's the Orange Blossom Special E. So many of these positions have that kind of identity if you've played bluegrass all of your life. But anyway, the chord progression: B minor, E7, A, E7, then G, 2-finger G, A, B. I like using that power chord again, and then this B with an open A and E note. It's a cool sound because we have that flat 7 on the A string open, and it gives it a different voice because we're going back to this B minor. So it feels more like we've walked up. So on the jam part, that's what they play over. And then the last, that tag that everybody does on the end of their solo, the chords there, once again, back to these 7s. This would be an F sharp 7 to an E7. And then we have a B half diminished to a B flat half diminished. And that chord, if you've studied the chord scale, that would pull right back to a B minor. So that only happens at the end of the head when you play it, and then at the very end of your jam section. And if you listen to Rice's break, you have to wonder, when it goes to the G chord, the last time that chord gets played on his solo, he plays a big G run, and you have to wonder if that was the signal to the rest of the band, hey, I'm done. I'm about to play the tag lick, and that way they all know rhythmically to play over that progression, and then Sam's ride starts. And you have to wonder, like, maybe in the studio they were in, if they couldn't make eye contact, because normally with this kind of thing, if you were playing this live, you would look, your solo could be double the length one night that it was the night before, and you just kind of make eye contact with somebody. Hey, here comes the tag lick, to kind of signal everyone into it. But what they're doing with improvising on this, those same scales are going to be very effective to improvise over this, and you can just play B blues. Let's add this concept to it. The same closed position we have here. If I have the two notes here, the D and the A note, I have those open, D and A. So I'm going to play this B blues scale an octave down. So now I have 3 different positions to put together. There's plenty of other things that we'll get to at some other time. It's really important to learn to riff over these heads like this and chord progressions. You can't put too many eggs in that basket musically, what that does, just to jam like this with a free spirit. It's so much fun, and it could be just around the corner for you musically if you haven't ever, kind of managed to just dive in with this kind of thing. But I sure love it. I'm gonna miss Tony. I didn't see him that often, but he was always so cool to me, and his music will never be forgotten.